So I think one of the biggest lies about digital minimalism is that it's a luxury lifestyle or that only certain people can do it. And today's guest is going to help us unpack that. His name is Ali Waseem, and he created a free app for your phone, for your smartphone if you still have one, to be able to block it and create the lifestyle that you want without having to spend tons of money. I came across his app a few months ago, maybe a year or two ago at this point. It's been a while. And we decided to have this conversation because we want to dig deep into why create free resources for people when there are paid resources as well that people could buy. And I think this is going to be an interesting conversation. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you derive a lot of value out of it. Ali, thank you for being here. Thank you for being on the Moving Offline podcast. Just tell us a little bit more about your background and why did you decide to create a free app when you could have sold this for, I don't know, $100, $50, whatever it is, that you could have sold this app and the components for it.
Thanks for having me. So I think like maybe last year in December, I found myself being in this weird spot where I was super addicted to my phone. I was like standing in grocery lines, and instead of like talking to the clerk, I was like on Instagram, on Reels, scrolling while I was waiting for my turn at the grocery store. I just thought it was such a bad habit. And I've always been super interested in iOS development. So it was that kind of thing that made me start and created the initial version of Foqos. Spelled very weirdly, as many have called out, F-O-Q-O-S. But that's where it kind of first started. And the first version was like pretty bare bones. There was nothing in it. Which led me to be like, well, this is a great tool. It's helping me. I kind of built it for myself. It didn't take a long time for me to build. Why don't I just offer it up for free and see how people resonate with it? And then the rest is history, and people have really resonated with it. And it's actually a really good service to provide this to people and then get a bunch of reviews and a bunch of things from people coming back saying that it's changed their lives. I would just not feel right charging for something like that. Plus, it doesn't cost me anything to maintain. So it's just a nice thing to have for people to use.
I think the weird thing here is that you have competitors, right? And they charge money for physical items, and you're giving this away for free. Why did you decide to do that? I mean, this is capitalism, right? You need a job, you need money. And a lot of people think in these terms, but why did you say, you know what, I'm just going to give it away. And if it grows, it grows. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not going to have a marketing plan. But clearly it has grown enough to have about 50,000 people using this app.
It's kind of weird there's a lot of stuff to unpack here. I don't know how much time we have, but when I started as a developer, like in it was like maybe 2011 when I was graduating school, it was actually very cool to be a developer and give away software for free and open source. Like if you did that as a developer, you were considered a very cool individual, because some of the greatest people like Linus Torvald, who created Linux, which is also a free and open source software, are very highly regarded in the community for doing that. So it's just something that I've always been super involved in. Not only is Foqos free, the code is open. So that means anyone can download a copy of Foqos, remix it, make different versions of Foqos, which people have. As long as they adhere to the license, which is in the repo, you can do whatever you want with it. So not only was it supposed to be free, but it was supposed to be totally open and just based on who I was as an individual. And I've always made stuff that's been free and open source as much as I can. So that kind of like resonated the path forward. And I think the bonus on top was that it's an app that people use and they love. Even in my own family and in my own friend circle. So that's like the cherry on top, honestly. Like I think a lot of people look at it being like, I'm doing such a good deed, but these are just ingrained in my values. Like this is how I just grew up writing to code. This is how I want to do it.
Help the audience understand, how does the app work and how is it different than other competitors, out there that are paid or that you have to buy something in order for it to work?
Yeah, so the app is totally free. The way it works is I'll give a little bit of a history. In 2019, Apple released a developer API, which is like an interface for developers to build on top of, called the Screen Time API. What that does is if you're a developer, you can create apps on top of Screen Time to help you restrict apps on an iPhone. It's totally free to use. All you have to do is pay $100 a year to publish an app. That's the technology that I use to build Foqos. And it's combined with this physical lock, which could be an NFC tag, which you can buy on Amazon for like 15 cents for a tag, even less than that. Or you don't have to buy anything and you can print off a QR code, which is an alternative that many other competitors do not have. But it started off very simple. Like it only supported NFC tags, and then it grew and grew and grew. And Foqos now has more features than most of my competitors, if not all of them. And it has better features like timers and schedules, which didn't exist for a long time in Foqos, and now they do. So in many ways, the free and open source version of this app has surpassed a lot of the paid competition. And because it's so open and it's so free, when people find issues, they can post about it and we can fix them right away. And if people want features, instead of submitting a support ticket and hoping that the paid companies do it, people can write the code themselves. We've had many Foqos users write features for themselves and publish it into the app. So there's a lot of benefit for using Foqos for sure.
I'm amazed at that because sometimes we think that, hey, the paid company, right? And by the way, I want to say that there's nothing inherently wrong in trying to make a business out of this, but I think there is something super amazing to bring a community together and to say, hey, you know what? I want to contribute. So other developers, other people that have this issue and that said, Foqos is good, but I want to make it even better. I'm going to contribute so that everybody benefits. I think that is an amazing concept and something that I think is quite embedded in the digital minimalism community because we are so much struggling, like together. It's a collective struggle that we have against these tech companies that are trying to exploit our time. So now having a free tool like Foqos and other tools, like, sometimes people come and ask me, like, what's the best tool for iPhone? And I'm like, okay, Foqos is one, but if you want something more hardcore, you could use Apple Configurator 2, which is also free, right? It's produced by Apple and you can do it for free. Or whenever they go on Android, I tell them like, okay, you can find this app and use it, or you can just learn how to do the Android debug bridge and eliminate all of the distractions. So I think there is something good about having some competitive market. I think that's important. But I think it's also better when you have a community of people that care about something in specific. And I kind of want to go into that. What are some of the surprising things that you've been able to find as a result of having this conversation with the community?
Oh, there's so many like unique things so the QR code thing, for example, that wasn't an original idea by myself. There was actually someone who posted an issue being like, it'd be so cool if I could use QR codes. And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. We should definitely do that. And that's where that feature came from. And a lot of people will reach out to me and give me credit, saying like the QR code is such a unique idea. None of these apps are doing it. But it wasn't even my idea. It came from a community issue that someone wanted to do. There's stuff like that, like timers like this. People want so much granularity over control. And there are options within Foqos that are designed specifically for those people that I would have actually never thought of. Like this idea of always blocking, but you tap the NFC tag to get a 15-minute break. You only get 15-minute breaks every time, right? So that feature exists in Foqos. A lot of other apps don't have that. Like there's like these unique use cases that we have the ability to create really rapidly because we're open source.
So essentially you're saying that this is a reverse break.
Yes.
So instead of tapping to be able to unlock and tapping to lock, it's locked all the time.
That's right.
And then you tap to unlock for a specific amount of time.
That's right. And you can set how long you want that time to be configured in the app. And that's a feature I would have never came up with myself. And the crazy thing is when someone posted the issue on our GitHub, and these are all available on our GitHub, you can totally vet what I'm saying. That issue was so popular, like 13 comments, tons of reactions, like people really wanted it. And there was only so much that I was like, I think it's time to really build this. People really, really want this. Yeah.
That's great to hear. And I think it just speaks about the importance of ideas are not only coming from, a company or two people. It's like that community that kind of brings all of these together. So you touched a little bit about going into a grocery store somewhere around 2024, 2023, around that time and feeling that way. How is your life looking now after implementing Foqos in your life? Are you still doom scrolling? Are you still finding some of these things? What are some of the things that are happening nowadays?
Yeah, like so the thing is like it's Focus has become such a good tool for me to get sleep. The problem that I always had was I would go into bed and I would scroll for like hours, and then when I would wake up, it'd be very groggy. So one of the things that I do now is I have a schedule set so that at 10 p.m. I cannot access any of these apps. I actually have it in allow mode, so the only app I can actually access is messages. If I need to message someone or call someone, that's it. But everything else is locked, and it just helps me have a better sleep. Like I get a ton of more time when the phone is locked. I can do other things like read a book, like go back to the old ages, read a book, feel great, wake up refreshed. It's really helped me from that. And I've had the weirdest thing where since I've been using Focus so much, like I have it in my car, so when I go to the grocery store, I can just focus on getting groceries. So I only have the Notes app open so I can just get the groceries I want and then leave. I have never done this in my entire life where, see those magazines in front of the grocery store? I had the experience of picking up one of those magazines and actually reading what's inside of it because I was just waiting in line. Like I've never done that before. So it's just changed different interactions with people. I'm way more open. I'm talking to people. I'm talking to the clerk. Like these things just never happen. But social media kind of ruined this idea of like actually being social in public, right? You're so social on your phone, but never in public. But it's just nice to just disconnect.
I think you're right that a lot of the social media interactions, we think that we're being social, but we're being antisocial in real life. We're being social in this virtual world, but not in real life. And that makes a big difference, at least to me, because it creates this inherent, I am only interested in whatever my phone gives me and whatever I'm already interested in. If you're different or completely have other interests that I don't have, I'm not going to allow you to enter into my sphere. So that is something too. Now, I want to tackle this because your software is free. And as I said, a lot of people have this misconception that digital minimalism is a luxury lifestyle, that only those with high incomes or maybe those with disposable income to buy a dumb phone, a premium experience, can have this experience, or to disconnect, and just to think about disconnecting from work apps or having a dumb phone is seen as a challenge to the status quo in such a sense that people think you must have enough money and enough free time. So help me understand, what was the philosophy that you were thinking to make this accessible to everybody? And how do you think of this question? Is a digital minimalist lifestyle a luxury, or is it accessible to everyone?
No, I don't think it's a luxury. I think it can be accessible to everyone. I think the app, like the phone makers like Apple and Google and Samsung and whoever, are trying their best to create versions inside the OS to make this a little bit of an better experience. But I don't think they're devoting as much time as like these other companies are. Like that's what their dedicated goals are, to make this better. Like companies like Opal, for example, right? Like they're trying their best to make the best version of a timer based app. But I disagree with this. I think a lot of people, like you said, it's very community driven, and there's a lot of people, especially on the digital minimalism subreddit. I think that's the one that you're a moderator for. There are so many creative ways where people are finding ways to save money or to find ways to basically disconnect with their phone because they've seen it as a problem. And those community decisions drive apps like Focus. Like I was just one individual that had an issue and I wanted to open it up for people, but there are other people in the Android ecosystem that are doing the same thing, and this movement is kind of starting, these grassroots movements. And I think these tools should be free because in many ways, the only thing we need to maintain is that, like I said, the licensing fee to post an app, but it doesn't cost us that much money to maintain outside of our own time. And since we're so passionate about doing these things as a community, like if we're posting on Reddit and we're kind of a talented developer, we also might have time to actually write some code and kind of help people out as well. So that's been my mindset always. Like if I have some skill set to offer to people, I'll try to give it away as much as possible. And again, like I'm in a very privileged place to say this because I have a great full-time position as a developer. And maybe some people don't. And if they don't have that, they can obviously offer it and people are 100% willing to pay. But my position, as long as I have that, that security from my full-time job, I'm more than happy to keep giving Focus away for free for as long as it can be.
I think that makes a lot of sense because you're saying, I'm taken care of and I want to help others. If somebody is not taken care of and this is their only means of survival. Yeah, and of course, like, trying to charge. And I think that's a fair argument to make. What I am maybe concerned sometimes is that there is a barrier of entry for other people, right? Because I'm thinking being an entrepreneur is a risk, right? You want to make sure that you get some return, but at the same time, you can do things that create goodwill within your customers, even. I think of this podcast. I could have a lot of ads in between and, all of those things, but I put myself in the shoes of the listener because I am a listener of podcasts. I love podcasts as well. And my least favorite time for a podcast is whenever they say, we'll be right back. And then, 2-3 minutes of ads, and then I have to like skip them, or, I have to figure something out. Or maybe I'm not listening, I'm not really paying attention. But I like this clean listening experience. And I wish for sure, like, getting sponsors and all those things are going to make it more sustainable and the podcast better and that kind of stuff. But I think there's a generation of goodwill that happens when you give certain parts of your software for free. So, I mean, I see, for example, Foqos, something that you could have done is say, like, maybe, if you don't have a full-time job, you say, like, hey, all of this functionality is free. And then there are premium features or extra things that, hey, if you really want them, like, that's up to you. But I really appreciate that you have done this and given to the community, because you had a problem that is a problem that it is experienced by so many other people. And at this point in time, you're giving back to solve the collective issue. One more area that I like to explore, it's a short podcast, I like to keep them short, but it's essentially the idea that we won't be able to escape. So essentially, smartphones are going to continue getting better and better. AI is going to continue to get better and better. And then we're going to kind of be trapped and dependent on these things. What are some of the steps that you have taken to not be dependent? I mean, you are a developer, you work in the tech industry, right? So what are some of the things that you have done to say, hey, I'm going to separate myself from this and regain that human time?
That's a really good question. Being in the tech industry, like especially the word AI is like it's very front of mind for me as a developer. I work on a developer platform. So I am a developer that builds developer tools. I work at a company called Supabase. So we're always thinking about what the forefront of how developers will be writing code. And we've definitely found that a lot of developers are maybe not writing code anymore, but asking agents to write code for them, like AI agents to do it, right? So when I'm in that world, like that 8 hours a day, I'm definitely in it. So I did still use Focus to block out the social media distraction. So I'm in it. But when I leave, I use Focus to block out work and AI agents and Twitter and whatever that stuff is. So I create that really clean separation. And I still try to go back to hobbies that I love. Like, I never wanted to be, when I started being a developer, be the developer dude. Like, my life is all developer dude stuff. Like, I just talk about computers and so on and so forth. I try to keep a very personal life. Like, if you look at my Twitter feed or anything, you really don't know much more about myself versus like things about Focus, because that's the only place I can spend ad marketing, basically, just talk about myself. But outside, like, it's a lot of running, a lot of cycling, a lot of hanging out with my wife and my cat, like doing analog things, even playing video games, like just anything to escape away from the computer or away from the phone. And if, sometimes if Focus is just not working for me, then my phone will sit in my bedroom, like away from our bed. And then I will just go do whatever I need to do, like cook, whatever. Like, I need to create that separation, because you're right, it's so easy to fall into that trap. But again, like, you control it. Like, it might seem very daunting and it feels like it's impossible to escape, but there are tools like Focus, and there's even tools like putting your phone in a room and closing the door. Like, there's things that can help you out as much as possible. So I would also pick up other hobbies that keep you away from your phone if you can.
As someone who works in the tech industry, I'm kind of curious to hear your thoughts on, I was asked this question on Sunday, essentially, what are going to be the entry level jobs or all of the other jobs that will be available to people in the future? Are we heading to a hyper technological future that essentially will not allow us to compete, and have ideas? And I have my own answer, and I'll probably give it after you give yours. But I think Focus is an example of what is going to happen in the future.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard for me to see that world right now. I think there's a lot of hype around the technology, and I don't know where that hype is going to end up. I definitely know for sure that AI is not like a crypto type of thing where it just kind of has ups and downs. There is like definitely significant advancements in the technology that's definitely shifting software engineering in general. Like it's completely shifting the tides there. Um, but what it ends up being, it's so hard to know. Every prediction that I've made as a software developer has always been wrong. So I can never make the right predictions ever. But I do think that the fear mongering sells a lot of articles and sells a lot of headlines, like in many different ways to get you more and more engaged on these platforms. Like an example is Reddit. Like there's so much fear mongering on Reddit that happens. And, it kind of sucks you in because you look at the article, you look at the comments, you want to see what people are saying. But I would really take a step back and just look at it from an analytical approach, and no one can really predict the future. So just take it as a grain of salt, I would say, and see how things progress. What about your answer?
No, I think that's a great answer because you have to be skeptical. But I also think that that's where our communal sense will come back. So, for example, building something like Foqos is that you allowed other people to come into the world, into your world, and contribute not only ideas but code and understanding. But this is what I answered. Somebody was asking me, "Will there be any entry level jobs and that kind of stuff?" And I said, "There will always be a job if you know the person that hires." So it's all about your network, and the more goodwill you put out there, the more people you get to know. I mean, the reason why we're having this conversation is you reached out, I think, on an email a few months ago, and you said like, "Hey, Jose, like I followed. Thank you for reviewing Foqos. I did it, because of the community. Literally, the community said, 'Hey, have you tried Foqos?'" And I was like, "No, I haven't. So I'll try it out. Oh, it's free. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Oh, it's open source. That's even more amazing, right? Like, it's verifiable. It's code that it can be owned by other people and transformed." And then you reached out, and then I said, "You know what? I want to push this out to the community because maybe some people don't know about it, right?" But building that goodwill, building that community, building that networking is what's going to keep us together. And I think that the people that are going to fall behind in the marketplace, right, trying to find a job, trying to find something, are those individuals who have bought into the overconsumption of it all instead of buying into the over community of it all, right? So the more community you have, the more network you have, the more opportunities you'll have, regardless of whether AI goes in one direction or another. So those are my thoughts essentially in that specific area.
And no one's really, you're totally right. Like at the end of the day, for the longest time, for as long as I've lived, and as long as my dad has lived, the question is, how do you get a job? It's the people you know. Like it's like every college talks about networking, going to networking events. Like you're always trying to get people to know and just stick up for your name. Like when I started Foqos, no one knew what Foqos was. Do you know what I mean? Like only people found out about it from a Hacker News post that I posted when I first sort of released it. And it's like a very developer oriented, like kind of board. That's how they found out about it. And that's how the word kind of spread. To this day, like you're right. Like a lot of people don't know about it and they discover it and they're like, I can't believe I found out about this because I don't pay for ads. I have no ads. And it's $0 on ads. So it's just like if people find out about it with word of mouth, that's great. That's like I'll never compete with the paid companies on ads because I just ethically cannot post ads about it because it's free and I only make like money off donations, and which I never force people to do. It's a $2 donation, and once you've donated, you cannot donate anymore. You're done. So yeah, I totally agree. It's all about who you know and how you spread your word and how you market yourself.
Well, thanks a lot for coming into the podcast. I appreciate you having you here and chatting about Foqos. Hopefully more people get to know about the app.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, some people are building this with the open source code for Android as well, right? So if you can send me some of those projects, I'll be able to link them as well so that people who still need a smartphone for whatever reason can still enjoy these digital minimalism privileges for free, and they don't have to do all of these things. Ali, I always have a final word and I always give it to my guests. So make sure to tell the audience your thoughts, your ideas, whatever it is that you're thinking, and any advice that you have.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, if you need help in the iOS space, because my app is made for iOS, you should download Foqos, Foqos. There's nothing wrong with the paid competitors, like Jose has mentioned. But if you're always looking to try these physical blocking types of apps, you should give mine a shot. It's totally free, totally open source. We never force donations, and we never ask for money inside the app, and we never sell your data. That's a big thing. And if you want to back those claims, you can read my code or have ChatGPT read it to verify it if you don't know how to read code. But I would say that the only thing is that if digital minimalism is not a privilege, like, you don't need money to buy into it. That's the whole idea of Foqos. And if you have really good ideas, I think you can create really good intentional tools for other people. The goodwill of it all, I think, will outweigh any dollar that you could have earned from it if you have the opportunity to do it. Because the best thing that I've learned in Foqos is all the TikToks, all the reviews, all the personal reach outs, all the people going around their way to give me money, even though they're like, I had $5, you should have it because it's helped me so much. I feel like that means so much more than what I could have ever charged for this app. Like, it is, you only ever get to create a product that people say will truly change your life. And I have 2,000 reviews of people saying it's changed their life. And that's like something truly special. So really appreciate it, Jose.
That was Ali Waseem, creator of Foqos. If you want to, make sure to check it out for iOS. And if you have a Android, there is one called Switchly. So you can look into that. I'll be putting all of those links in the description of this podcast and the show notes. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. If you found some value in this podcast, make sure to, send it to a friend that may be able to need this reminder that digital minimalism is for everybody, and that community over profit or over all of the things that we could even charge or make or do. It's all about the community. It's all about creating relationships in this space and in the world. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.